So that way, if you're doing like a specific gemstone or you know, it has like maybe a brooch, you know, whatever you're doing, such as a brooch or something that specifically looks like something, you know, make a blank out of Sculpey, and then you can use that as your negative mold in the modeling clay with the resin. The only thing to keep in mind though is it doesn't do like really undercut things really well. So if it's just like a button or I know like the Degradant buttons are very stylized. So what you could do then is, you know, make your blank out of Sculpey clay and then push it in the modeling magic, and that works really, you know, modeling clay, because that does work really well. The only problem with it is, and this is something to keep in mind with resin, part two. When the resin is curing, it gets really hot. It makes a lot of heat. So you have to be careful with what molding agent you're using, because like I'm sure everyone here is avid crafters. You know, like they have like the make your own sort of soap. You know, they have like the molds for soap. Don't use those, because the resin drying will just melt them, because they're not meant to have that high of a heat in them. They do make, I know my AC Moore's just started carrying a nice selection. They have like a gemstone mold. You know, it's got things like, you know, just like little ovals. You know, it's got like teardrops, you know, like square-shaped rectangles. You know, it's got a whole bunch of different molds in it. Plus, they also have ones that's like a big square or a big circle. Yes, I found it after my Christmas ornament incident. But, you know, they have a bunch of molds that are available like commercially, or you can go ahead and, you know, like I said, the modeling clay does work really well if you need like a very certain like specific shape to a gem. You know, I would just, you know, just take the modeling clay. You can either just put something in it if it's small, because I did try that with the ruby and it didn't work. If it's something small, you can just push it in, or if it's you know, just like a certain size gemstone, like a teardrop, like a large sort of teardrop, or you know, a weird shaped, you know, circle or something. You can just, you know, push something in the clay, or you know, just sort of carve it out with like a knife or something. Once you pour it, like I said, it gets hot. It will kind of melt the clay a bit, so that, you know, you just rip the clay off of it. And once you do so, you will end up with like clay all over it. So what I suggest doing is just taking an old sponge, or a sponge you specifically designate for this purpose, and just sit and rub it with a wet sponge, and that'll get all of it off. And then once you got all the clay off, then you hit it with your Dremel, with like a really, really fine, or like the buffing wheel in it. And then, you know, just, you know, hold it down and hit it with a Dremel, and then top coat it, and it looks clear as hell. Questions?
When you're sanding resin, you should definitely wear a mask,
Yes.
right?
Yes. 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 Yes.
What about eye protection?
I wear glasses, so I just wear my glasses, and yes, I don't have anything else, so you're all blind right now. I can see you three. Everyone past there is just buzz.
Even if you're standing it, you can get away without wearing it.
Yeah, if you're doing like regular sand paper, it wouldn't necessarily be necessary. But if you are doing a Dremel where you've got it spinning at high speeds, flinging bits off, then I would totally suggest eye protection, even if you don't wear glasses. You know, just wood shop goggles type of deal. If you do wear contacts, totally wear glasses with that, because I assure you, it's a lot worse getting a piece of resin out from under a contact. Speaking from experience. Yeah, no, totally suggest eye protection when doing really heavy sanding with the resin, and always would suggest some sort of a respirator with that, because you know, that stuff is a lot worse than my cancer sticks, I assure you. That stuff you definitely want to wear some kind of mask or breathing. Like I said, even they have like, you know, just the medical ones. You know,
Fabric over your face, just
yeah, bandana, just something.
Duct tape over the mouth.
That's for later, Steve.
All right. Good man now, Peach.
Yeah, Peach is the winner.
Yeah, no. protection. Always think of this, safety first. Seriously, safety first. If you're doing something that's going to be kicking up dust, we totally suggest a respirator. Cutting wood. Like I said, my cloud sword, 99.999% of it was cut out with an X-Acto knife. But I did piss my mother off and be the first to use her new power tools. My mother goes on these kicks, and right now it's power tools. She got a routing table, and I did use, because the balsa wood company that I use, that I absolutely love, is I just told you I shouldn't be able to list all this. I believe it's called USA Balsa or USA Wood or something. I don't know. I guess I'm being very patriotic with my companies, but it's a balsa wood company, and they do a lot of custom sizes as well as sizes that you're not going to find at like Michael's or AC Moore's. I got pieces of balsa wood 5 feet long, and you can get them up to like 20 inches wide. So for what I did was I ordered some of the 5-foot sections and then some 3-foot sections, and then using the router table, I did use like a square router bit. So that way, instead of just butting the edges together, it was actually sort of jerry-rigged, dovetailed together. So that it did give it that much more security, stability, as well as when I assembled each blade, because I made each blade an inch thick, so each half inch thick. So I did switch them, so that when I put them together, the two joints weren't with each other, so that way it's a bit sturdier. And it is fairly sturdy. I just had a brain fart and didn't realize that, that much balsa wood was going to weigh a ton. That and the hilt is pretty much solid balsa. Like I said, the same company, they have it in blocks. So I got, the biggest that they had was 3 by 3 by 18. So I got 4 of those, and that's what I used for the hilt. So the bottom half of it is just solid, and then the top half is what I cut out to make the slots for everything to fit into, as well as the mechanisms for it to open and close. You have to do it manually, but it still works.
How would you recommend transporting props?
Another very good point. The reason that Harkonnen here comes into pieces is because Cloud Sword doesn't come into pieces, and it's cumbersome, very cumbersome. I can't go to cons with it in a compact car, we'll put it like that. I totally suggest, again, when planning out props, think of these things. If you're doing a large sword like that, or something large like this, think, where could I possibly put a brake to put it, to take it apart. That's why I've got that covering that up, and it'll eventually get a scope and a tripod. I have all the pieces cut, I'm just lazy to do it. But no, that is a good thing to keep in mind too. Or if you're doing like a staff, some kind of a staff, think, oh, okay, there's like a grip here. Right below that, I could put, a brake in it, or I could put something that where, it would slide together, and it just doesn't get any better. Nico's loves the scissoring cows. That way, you could have the staff break into like 2 pieces so that you could put it in like a tube, or, just wrap it up in like your costume or something like that after putting it in the bag. Never painted anything on a costume. I'm sure you might know that one well from experience. Do as I say, not as I do. But no, transportation is another really good thing to keep in mind too, because like even my Cloud Sword, it's only been to 2 cons, and that's only because it was at the time when we had the large car before mine died, that I was able to fit it into a car, and then afterwards it was just kind of like, what was I thinking? But no, definitely, like I said, it's just, I took just a little. I took the tube. No, it's good. It's good. I took the tube, cut it. I first cut it down to the length that I wanted the barrel. It was originally longer, but then my sister started bitching that it was too big. I think it was fine.
Surprise queen.
I know. But so cut the tube down to what I needed it. Cut it in half. and then use the other half of the mailing tube, and just wrap